morning. That's a tough act to follow. I promise to not be nearly that entertaining. But I think it sort of shows you what an amazing group of students we have. So as Rashid mentioned, my name is John Densmore. I am, in addition to being the Dean of the Hunter College, I'm also Associate Dean for Admissions. So I had the good fortune to write a letter to each of our students offering them a spot in our class, and we're thrilled that everybody's here. Sorry. All right, that'll come on. What you'll see is a picture of Tom Hunter. Tom is, or was a dean here, so from the mid-50s to the mid-60s, he was dean of the School of Medicine. Prior to that, he had done groundbreaking work in, it's warming up. Yeah, it'll come. But he had done groundbreaking work in bacterial endocarditis, and was part of the group that originally figured out that it would take multiple antibiotics to treat endocarditis. And what was at that time almost universally fatal became a very curable disease. He had a lot of interests, and when I met him in, I guess, 1990, he had become a national expert in bioethics, and had started a bioethics program here that has grown and become one of the nation's leading bioethics programs, and was an active faculty member well into his 80s before dying. The other interesting thing with him was he had polio as a child and had pretty significant physical ailments, and it didn't slow him down one bit. So he was a pretty amazing guy. So I feel very honored to be the dean of his college. Now what I'm going to do is brag about your family members a little bit, just to put into context, how amazing they are. This only give you sort of a snapshot. So every year we get somewhere between 4,500 and 4,800 applications. So just to give a sense for how competitive this is, of those 4,700, we interviewed 623, and we only offer spots to people in medical school who come through for an interview. So that was a huge cut to get an interview here. And the reason the interview is so important to us is there are a lot of smart people out there, but many of them aren't people. This wouldn't be a good fit for them, or they wouldn't be a good fit for us. We want people like the group that just performed here, who are very talented in many ways. So people with broad interests from very diverse backgrounds, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a view of the people that ended up here. Of those 623, we ended up with 161 in the class, and that's 5 more than we're supposed to have. So we were popular this year. So we actually, several of the CPD groups you heard about this year actually have 7 students instead of 6, because I miscalculated how many offers to make. But they didn't fire me yet. So we're very fortunate to have them here. This is their picture from the white coat ceremony. The white coats will never again be that clean. But as I mentioned, class size of 161, the mean age is almost 24 years, and this is just gradually increasing, and we've got to the point now that more than half of our students have spent at least 1 year outside of school, between college and medical school. This year's class is 58% men and 42% women, and it mirrors a trend nationally that I don't think anybody completely understands, but fewer women are going into medicine. Things about 5 or 6 years ago peaked where more than half of applicants were women, and it's been a steady decline since then. This past year, I think it was around 44% nationally of applicants were women. So I don't know if the women are figuring out that there's something better to do, but our numbers mirror that. This year we have 25% of our class are people from groups that have long been considered underrepresented in medicine. And this is, again, I think speaks to the diversity of the group of students we were able to recruit here. And then in terms of where they're from, about half of the students typically are from the state of Virginia. This year it's 52% are from in-state. Last year it was the reverse of that, but our students are from all over Virginia and all over the world. This, just a little bit on their academics. So the MCAT, which is sort of the bane of pre-medical students' existence. Our students do incredibly well. That score of 34 would put us in the top, or put them in the top 1 to 2% of all students taking the MCAT. So they're clearly very bright. The median GPA was a 3.75, and again, pointing to the amazing success academically that all of these students have had. This year, students are from 25 states. Again, roughly half are from the state of Virginia. We have 8 international students this year, which is also wonderful in terms of bringing different perspective to the class. We cover most of the state of Virginia, 33 cities and counties. I actually didn't know until this morning that how many counties there were in Virginia. There are 95, in case anybody wants to know. But people from all over the state, so predominantly Northern Virginia, the Richmond area, and towards the Eastern Shore. But we really cover a wide area of the state. 76 different undergraduate colleges, again from all over the country and the world. UVA was the most common at 30, so a fair number of our students we keep here. We like to do that. They're typically very good. We don't favor UVA students, but we tend to have a lot of good people who like Charlottesville and like to stay. And this year we were at 80 different majors, which again I think speaks to the diversity of backgrounds and interests. Still, the majority of these are sort of science or science-based. Increasing numbers of engineers are going into medicine. We have people who are music majors. We have a theater and drama major. So again, people with very different views bring very different skills to the class. So we are certainly happy to have them. And I think that is it for me. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Peterson to take it from here.
Thank you. So I'm Chris Peterson. I'm an OBGYN, and I have the distinct pleasure of being the Dean of Pinn College. Dr. Vivian Pinn is here with us today. Could you stand up for a second? And we'll have a chance to hear from her briefly a little bit later, but I want to tell you a little bit about her. She grew up in Lynchburg and went to Wellesley College, and had to take some time off when her mother became seriously ill. And if I remember correctly, there were both good things and bad things you saw in your mother's care that inspired you to go to medical school and do only the good things. And so she came here to UVA to medical school and was the only woman and the only person of color in her class. She eventually became a pathologist, and one of her first jobs was at Tufts School of Medicine. She was one of my teachers when I was in medical school. So when it was decided to name a college after Dr. Pinn, the people who made that decision didn't know that I'd gone to school under Dr. Pinn. And so when the opportunity came to grab different colleges, boy did I grab Dr. Pinn's really fast. She was the first woman to lead an academic department of pathology in the U.S. at Howard University, and just about a year ago retired from being director of the Office of Research on Women's Health at NIH. She has completely failed retirement, as she will first acknowledge. She's busier now than she was before she retired. And we're really lucky. She was in Lynchburg yesterday giving a couple of talks, and was able to drive up this morning to be with us, so we're really very fortunate about that. I'll let her talk to you herself about her work, both academic and as an advocate for women and those who are underrepresented in medicine. But I can't tell you how both humbling and pride-inducing it is to be able to work with students in the college named after her. So my job is to answer the question that I suspect pretty much all family members have. How is my loved one, my student, going to choose a specialty that is something that they really, really love, so they'll be happy every day to go to work, that they're really good at, so that their patients will get well, that will give them enough income that they can pay off their loans, and that will give them a kind of balance in their life that will permit the kinds of relationships that will result in grandchildren one way or another, right? All that's in this kind of mission. Okay? So one of our main jobs is to work with your students to help them choose that kind of specialty that's going to be best for them. We have a very longitudinal and multifaceted program. This is just kind of a random thing that I happened to find on Google that expressed better than I could in words exactly kind of the goals we hope that we have for our students. that in the center is growth and motivation to work well in this world, take good care of patients, and as a result derive some happiness. And we very firmly believe that feelings of connectedness, feelings of competence, and feelings of autonomy are essential to growth and professional identity and success in this world. Material things are off to the side. We have to pay attention to them. We need to eat, we need to sleep, but they're off to the side. So we follow our predecessor, Dr. Richard Peterson. There was one of him, and there now are 4 of us. That tells you what kind of an immensely talented man he was. He developed this kind of developmental perspective in which we help the students know themselves, know the disciplines, the various specialties that they might choose, and know the process for applying, crossing the I's, dotting the T's, meeting the deadlines, and so forth and so on. So in the next slides that you see, anything in green is going to be about knowing yourself. Who are you? What are you good at? What do you like? The pink things are the disciplines. How do you find out about what different kinds of doctors do all day? And the brownish things are the process. What are the rules? What are the